Why is that always not? Do you think that's actually coming through?
I don't hear it in my headphones.
I don't either. Oh yeah, that's better. It's another Gambit Stratagem podcast.
Number 17.
Episode number 17, because the episodes from last week and the last 3 weeks don't count.
I was here in spirit.
Well, and we actually did some podcast. I didn't actually. We kind of like live streamed the open announcements and stuff under the Gambit podcast kind of banner, but I didn't actually upload them to our podcast outlet platforms or label them as such. So, like the episode 16 was from before the open.
Gotcha.
If that makes sense. So we're just going right to 17.
Sense it does make.
Sean, what's happening? What's new with you? Let's
What
open.
is new?
Let's open with a little bit about you.
Let's open with play on words.
Yeah. The open's over, so
Oh
let's open.
gosh, what's new with me? Not a whole lot.
Wow.
I got nothing.
No? How's the coffee going?
It's good. I have to roast next week.
Yeah. How's the brand? You happy with your branding?
I don't really do anything
Mythos,
with it.
Mythos?
So
Yeah, but it's on the bags.
it's on the bags. I'm supposed to meet with John about branding.
I'm a big branding guy.
Yeah, I'm not.
Branding and I mean, well, if you're gonna sell something, you kind of need to be. Unfortunately,
I know.
That's the unfortunate reality.
I've talked to Mara about being my brand manager.
That's
Unfortunately, the pay is very little.
That's risky.
Relatively non-existent, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
How about you? It's just been you and the dogs for about a week. What kind of mischief you getting up
Yeah,
to?
Kelly's been working down at in and around Savannah at I think they call it Fort Stewart now. What formerly Fort Bragg.
Did it change the name to Fort Bragg?
Something to do with the person it was named after. They don't like something he did now, or they did. The individual. I don't know. Rob's dad seemed to know about it. Gene.
Well, Fort Bragg,
because he knows
Army
about everything.
base is in North Carolina.
Oh, maybe I'm mistaken. Well, what's near Savannah then? We'll just look up Fort Stewart. I think it's Stewart. Doesn't matter.
Well, now I'm intrigued.
That's cool. Yeah, so she's down there to do these midweek
Fort Stewart.
kind of seminars with some Army personnel, and then she's going somewhere. She's in New Orleans, NOLA, for something else. She's giving a presentation, all in the scope of like seminar staff kind of.
Yeah, I think Fort Stewart's been around for a long time.
Maybe Kelly's got it.
Built in January of 1941.
It is. Well, the place has been there. It's like the largest military installation in the world or something. But she said it had changed names recently. I mean, within the last decade or something. But
not according to
it's Kelly.
Wikipedia.
I don't know if you know my wife, but it's possible.
I've been to Fort Bragg, and that's not.
It's possible she didn't.
Fort
give
Bragg's
me
in North Carolina.
Accurate information, or confused a word for another word. That is a thing that she does.
Yeah, I will say this is a fun fact for all the history buffs. Fort Stewart took a 5-year hiatus from 1945 to 1950, where it was an inactive military base.
Oh,
I'm sure I could figure out why, but I'm not going to.
That's not what we're here to talk about today. See, that's kind of the biggest thing, I guess, going on in my life is just managing the house.
These crazy dogs.
These crazy, insane 2 dogs that are here somewhere. One of them's under the table. Wow, squeaky chair. One of them's under the table. I don't know where the other one is, but they're in the room somewhere. Carl, ooh, we got some live commentation here.
Oh,
I'll keep you up to speed on. I see the next level. So to update you and some of our listeners and viewers on our technology side, I'm now I have my phone is our camera, which is wirelessly beaming our video and video feed to my laptop, and then I've got this like mixer plugged in here that we're using for our microphones and our sound effects. I love how abruptly that cuts off. like
everyone in the audience just ceased to exist.
He just cut him off. And then I'm wirelessly beaming this image onto the TV behind us. All through the power of AI. No, not really. Powered by crypto technology.
Satellites.
Yeah. It's all
what are we streaming on? Facebook?
Something
YouTube?
about the blockchain. Yeah, we're on Facebook and YouTube.
We're live all over.
Carlton said, what a great sponsor your coffee is.
Dude,
you notice
honestly,
Carlton, like I'm trying to lead him into promoting and building his brand, and he just doesn't want it.
I don't like it.
I'm like, yeah, plug your coffee, man. Let's throw a logo up on the screen. And he's just
like talking about myself.
He's like, nah, man.
Here, I have coffee. If you want to buy it, $18. If you don't, that's fine.
Buy it or don't. I don't care. Get out of my face.
Go buy your less than ideal coffee. Drink your burnt nonsense.
So yeah, we want to talk about the Open a little bit. I think we're in an interesting spot, so we can kind of update. We've talked about the Open before, but we're in the Open season, so or technically post-Open season. We're in the competition season, so it's apropos that we discuss it a little bit.
What was that word?
Apropos. It's a short for appropriate because it's not really any shorter. But I think people like it because it sounds fancy.
Whatever is going on today, I've heard more abbreviations for words that don't need to be abbreviated than I have, I swear to God, in the rest of my 33 years of life.
Oh, that reminds me. Happy Mario Day, everyone. It's March 10th, so if you write...
Oh, Super Mario
Speaking
Brothers
of abbreviating, if you write the
today,
abbreviation for March, which is MAR, 10, it looks like Mario.
Doesn't Super Mario Brothers come out today?
The film?
Yeah.
Does it? If it does, I gotta leave. I got somewhere to be.
So last year, Andrew did the podcast solo. Or last week, not last year.
Yeah.
Today.
Oh.
Oh no, it comes out April 5th.
Oh yeah, that sounds.
Oh,
You know what did come out though is the new Mario Kart tracks.
Yeah, but how did they miss that?
I mean, if
they couldn't push it out 1 month earlier.
It's not ready. It's not ready.
It's ready.
You
want to talk about bad marketing?
Since we're on the topic, there's a new trailer for it because is the guy's real name Charlie that plays Charlie on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia? Charlie Day? Is that his real name?
His real name's not Charlie Day.
He voices
Charlie Kelly. No, Charlie Day is the actor. Charlie Kelly's the character.
He voices Luigi in the film, which I actually think is pretty spectacular. And then the highly controversial was that Chris Pratt is voicing Mario.
I just don't understand how that's a controversy. I think people need more.
Because he's not Italian, I think, and Mario's supposed to be Italian. So I saw the second trailer came out, and it's a very like visually cool looking film, and I think they put a little more voices. So in the first trailer, it was kind of a teaser trailer, and I think Mario only had like one line or one quick phrase or something. So you're kind of like, ooh, I don't know if that's gonna be good or not, and everybody was just speculating. You know how these things go. Oh, Robert Pattinson is gonna play Batman? That's stupid. you know, that it's that
still
thing
love-
over and over and over.
I still
and,
love sad emo Batman. It's the most
he's-
relatable Batman to me as a person.
That might be my new favorite Batman film. I thought when the Christopher Nolan trilogy came out, I was like, they can't top this. These are amazing. And then
Now they just got to get.
I don't know if it topped it, but man, it's what a good follow up.
Now they just have to get Joaquin Phoenix, Joker, in the fray.
There's some talk that they might intermix those universes.
Did you ever watch
Those universi.
Remember Joaquin Phoenix acted like he went crazy for a documentary?
Yeah.
That is still one of my all-time favorite pop culture moments.
And he said he was going to be a rapper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he the video came out of him fighting one of his fans at a show.
I didn't see that.
God,
That's
what a
amazing.
savage.
So anyway, yeah, my point was that the new trailer, there's a lot more dialogue from Chris Pratt and Charlie Day, and I think it sounds awesome and looks awesome.
The
I'm
people
excited
that
for
are
it.
upset about Chris Pratt playing Mario clearly have not watched the John Leguizamo Super Mario Brothers. If you want
I haven't. I've watched, again, as per, I'm sure you've heard me say before, I watched YouTube videos about that movie and talking about how bad it was and interviews.
it's still one
why
of my
it was bad.
favorite movies.
Yeah, so I feel
But
like I've
it
seen
is not a Super Mario Brothers
No.
movie. That's Super Mario Brothers if
behind
you
the
did a
scenes on
bunch
that.
of PCP.
Yeah, the behind the scenes story on that film is incredible.
great.
Yeah.
If you did a bunch of really bad hallucinogens and set it in a dystopian future, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And I'm here for it. Speaking of
Yeah,
the
I'm excited for the film. I'm gonna check it out. And more excited for the Mario Kart tracks coming out.
Who wouldn't be excited for that?
Mara says Sean's marketing strategy is eat it or wear it.
Oh, I've got the comments pulled up. I'm
Oh.
here for
Oh,
them.
all right, you heard it. You heard it, folks. Sean's in the comment section.
We're in the chat.
Yeah. Tread lightly, Mara. You've been banned once.
Yeah, don't threaten me. Don't think I didn't notice you stole my phone charger last night.
Unreal. So the Open.
3 weeks long. We did it.
Getting to it. How did your Open go, Sean?
It went.
Let's talk about ourselves first.
I have not been training CrossFit as thoroughly, I guess, as intently. From a competition standpoint.
When you say
From a competition standpoint, I have not been training
Yeah.
competitive CrossFit.
I was
Meaning,
gonna
my
say,
training
like,
volume's
let's-
been low. I
That's one of
haven't
my-
been training the kipping movements at all. I have been doing almost no inversions. I hadn't snatched in probably 3 months, just due to shoulder issues. I hadn't done any ring muscle ups for a long time.
You hadn't been training what CrossFit would call probably like general physical preparedness necessarily.
Yeah. I took a long hiatus off of GPP programming and training with the pursuit of the American Open and Olympic weightlifting.
Yeah, and then shifted gears into kind of like rehab.
Shifted gears into rehab once
Which
that
some
rug
could
got
definitely
pulled out
argue-
from under me.
Some would probably argue is GPP, but that's why I say in the scope of CrossFit, it's probably.
I haven't been training work capacity.
If you're doing PT stuff, kind of like accessory work or successory work, as we like to call it, it is kind of GPP in a way because it's like you're trying to move pain free. You're trying to make your shoulder function better. So it is
less
kind of
work
GPP.
capacity
But,
training though.
Yeah, sorry to bust in on that and interrupt you as I always do, but or as as Rich from YouTube pointed out. But it bugs specifically one person in my memory from another gym was just like I ran into him out in public and was just like, oh, what's going on? He's like, oh, I had to stop doing CrossFit. Like it was just really hard on my body. Like you know how it goes. And I was like, I mean, no, I don't. Like you anything can be hard on your body. Like if you
And also anything is CrossFit, right?
Yeah.
Like CrossFit is just
so it's just kind of like when you say Yeah, so I just wanted to jump in because it's like when you say you took some time off training CrossFit, it's like, keep in mind for anyone watching or listening, it's like we're in a world of pretty much 100% CrossFit, like true traditional, like WOD CrossFit. And when Sean says he's not training CrossFit, he's kind of like, he's still hopping in and doing the workout of the day.
Yeah, still doing the daily WOD every
3,
day.
4, 5 days a week plus.
Scaling and modifying as appropriate.
But he's not concerned about his performance in the open per se.
So,
or his ability to snatch or clean and jerk a ton of weight.
100% less care than every other year I've done the open.
So that said, how did your season go and how were your performances?
I was able to RX all the workouts.
Yeah.
So that's a plus. Let's see, I think it was like top 80.
I'll put this right there. I don't know if I got a tiny little screen share there of our custom leaderboard. I don't know if
top 84th percentile in the world.
Sean is 9th in the gym with I
have 7th.
Oh, I have the females and males on one leaderboard.
How does that work?
And you can just do a custom leaderboard. You can create your own. Do you need me to send you the link?
No, I'm not that interested. Thanks, though.
And that pretty much perfectly encapsulates. Okay, so you had 6th in workout 1, 188 reps. That was the 60 cal row, 50 toes to bar, 40 wall balls, 30 cleans into muscle ups.
And then got really sick. So did that workout on Monday. Got really sick on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Was out.
Took 17th.
Was out the whole week.
17th out of 38. We can get 38 people sign up for the Open this year in a gym that doesn't necessarily pressure people to sign up for the Open. Then you came back with a 4th place on that 240-pound thruster.
Dad's got those thick legs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't do so good in that one.
That was actually only 5 pounds under my 1 rep max push press from.
Oh, really?
What was that, about a month ago? Whenever we ran that in our strength cycle.
Those are if you're pretty well-rounded athlete and or strength athlete, those theoretically should be pretty close. I would think.
For
your
sure.
Thruster and your push press.
Yeah, it's literally the squat's irrelevant. It is just a push press.
And then your worst finish, 21st in the final workout, the wall walks, double unders. That was a weird workout because people that are good at like handstand walks are kind of like it's like a whole separate category.
And again, like that one, I will never be good at strict handstand push-ups or kipping. It's just I could probably spend the whole year training those diligently 3 to 4 times a week.
Yeah,
hitting like maximal recoverable volume on them, and I still wouldn't be even close to proficient in them. When you look at someone like Sarah Birch is really good at them, Joel Kelly's really good at them, and a lot of that comes down to I just don't have upper body pressing strength.
Corey Anderson took 3rd in that workout. She's freaky good overhead. Rebecca Ritterhoff took 2nd in that workout. Nice.
So I will say, having not snatched in 2 to 3 months at all, outside of dumbbell snatches, having not done wall walks or any handstand push-ups, it's probably been 6 months since I've done a handstand push-up.
Yeah.
The last time strict handstand push-ups were programmed in the Open was 2019. A different format, but still.
Yeah.
I got 2 or 3 reps, and they were the first handstand push-ups I'd ever done. And I got 6 this time.
Yeah.
Went up for 8. Feet came off the wall at the top of 2.
With kind of a tough standard for some of us. And
I'm not going to use that as a.
Well, just because you're close to the wall. Like, I'm not saying it was a bullshit standard.
But that's also how, like, that's actually where I kick up when I do handstand push-ups, for better or worse.
But you fell off the wall.
Yeah, and when I get tired, I'll fall off the wall when I lose my midline, which I think is why they went with that standard. Because
I don't ever fall off the wall because I put my hands about 2 feet away from the wall when I can.
Yeah, and I think I do think practicing that standard is good for people because
it's 100%.
It forces better midline integrity and tension.
What I said right away was like, that's where Like that's a really tough standard for me. I don't think it's a bad standard because that's where you should be.
Yeah. Well, what's Mara talking about Brent Fikowski on a handstand negative push-up for?
I don't know. I can't see the website and the comments at the same time. I haven't figured that part out.
I got comments.
But Brent Fikowski commented on his Insta doing a handstand negative push-up. Your Instagram.
Oh, she's dumb.
What?
Brent Fikowski. So I did. This was years ago.
You need to proofread that.
I know what she's saying. Sometimes you just have to learn how to speak, Mara. So at one point in time, I posted a video of me doing a deep deficit kipping handstand push-up, 1 rep max, basically. And Brent Fikowski had commented on it. It was kind of my claim to fame.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I was wearing the same pants I'm wearing right now, too. There's a video.
Oh, yeah. That's legit. With a mask on.
Yeah. That was
So
January 15th, 2021.
heck yeah.
Heat of Illinois not being open.
Yeah. So we're in a little bit of a similar boat because my elbow's been junky and I also hadn't done a handstand push-up in like 6 months. Still able to do them, but like my elbow doesn't extend all the way, and then it gets kind of ticked off when I overwork it right now. So we're in a really similar place lifestyle wise, like both still very much doing CrossFit, participating in daily workouts, but also doing a lot of like PT rehab stuff on the side. And as always, when you're a coach or a indoor gym owner or whatever, like there's pretty much a constant state of like experimentation and exploration happening where you're like,
it's one of the hardest parts of improving your own fitness is you're overanalyzing and trying out literally so many different things.
And you're constantly, for me, I'm constantly like, you're kind of stuck in a little bit of a way because I don't ever want to just totally abandon CrossFit. I have very little respect for gym owners or coaches who are like, oh, I'm just running right now.
Also, can you imagine what kind of life that would be, just running? Gross.
And I don't have any like real specific examples, but like I know one very prominent like CrossFit coach just has coached people to the games and at a very high level, and it doesn't look like he's done an actual day of CrossFit in his life. Like
Greg Glassman?
No. I don't think he's ever coached anybody at the games as far as I'm aware, but I just like, I don't get that. I'm like, you make your living off of this, or people that are like, you know, they open, I know there are like gym owners out there who then just go, oh, I'm really into just weightlifting now. It's like, well, good for you, but I
feel like that's a pretty prominent
But
one.
you still want to run a CrossFit gym and make money off it. It's like you clearly don't really believe in it. Like, why don't you run a weightlifting gym then? See if you can make money doing that.
Well, the hard part is
you can't.
Making money running a weightlifting gym.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't have the guts to do it, but yet you want to shift your whole lifestyle. So I'm just kind of like, I will never, if there's ever a point where CrossFit didn't work for me as a concept, and a training tool, as I understand it, and I believe it's meant to be implemented according to Glassman, frankly, I would stop coaching that in my gym.
Yeah.
It's like, if it doesn't work for me, it does, like, you know.
How do I expect anyone
what's
to buy
good
in
for
if
the
I'm
goose
not
is good
doing
for the
it?
gander, whatever.
I don't get that, but.
And isn't the gander actually
Isn't that like a Bass Pro Shop? Gander Mountain?
Yeah. I don't know if they exist anymore though. So yeah, we're in a similar boat. I'm happy with my performance. I got my biggest complaint is probably that second workout where I had done a thruster at 216 or 215 or something. And then I had felt really good. And then I failed 230 twice. When then I retested, and I got a much better score on 23.2A, but then I got a much worse score on 23.2B, less weight, 206. And then I failed 220 or something, or 225 multiple times.
Yeah.
Should have gone lighter. Not a good game plan, but my elbow just wasn't there. I just can't press things overhead. So just took the hit on that one. So I got a 10th place. And then the last workout, I was just happy to break the first. I did that workout 3 times, and it took me 3 times to break through the first 6 minutes because I'm just so.
But your
those
last
wall
time
walks
was really well executed.
Yeah, and I honestly don't even know.
I
think I just warmed up well. My elbow was kind of just cooperating that day. Like I was
Yeah.
able to move through the.
You didn't get any no reps.
The
You didn't
second
fall off
time
the
I
wall.
tested, it was the 2 sets of 5 wall walks, and I came back for the second set of wall walks, and on the first wall walk I fell on my face, like just went up in my elbow, just my arm just wasn't there, and I just collapsed.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, this attempt is not going well.
Yeah.
And then the third time it just kind of came together. So I think point being, like, I think this is interesting because people might think of us as being somewhere we're not with our fitness, I guess. It's kind of like you hear people say like, oh, I got stuff going on or whatever. And people always want to, we've talked about this before, getting injured and kind of thinking you need to take time away from the gym or time away from CrossFit specifically because people have a misunderstanding of what CrossFit is.
Yeah.
And they think like, I need to take time away from it. It's like, well, it's not the games. Like, yeah, I like to try and push through the open with some limitations I have. Like, yeah, at my best, I probably would have done better in that third workout, but and I would have been able to thruster more, but I didn't have that. It just wasn't in the card. So instead of being all kind of like, woe is me and sit the open out, I'm going to do my 13th open.
Yeah.
As prescribed and just put some scores on the board.
Yeah.
And my goal is to beat Sean. So anyway, first place on our leaderboard anyway. Joel Laney, of course.
Cheater.
First in every workout. Yeah, highly suspect. Followed by Clayton Adams. And of note, I should say for Joel, he had a thruster at 277 and then finished that third workout at 11 minutes, 33 seconds, which ended with like 5 or 6 snatches. 6 snatches at 225.
420th in the world on that last workout.
That's pretty solid.
It's very solid.
Clayton Adams in second, Brian Sullivan in third, Lewis Wolterkins in fourth, myself in fifth, Corey Anderson. Tied me for fifth, I guess. And Sam Sheridan, a little 3-way tie inside the gym at 34 points, which is wild. I tied Sam Sheridan on the 23.2A, and then he hit 225 on the thruster, and I missed 226 twice. And if I'd hit it, I would have beat him. So I was so sour about that.
As another note, Joel is currently no, never mind. That's not right. Yeah, that's right. He is 344th in the world.
I'm going to pull him up.
Congratulations, Wesley Joel Laney, one day after his 31st birthday.
Does he show up as Wesley?
No, Joel.
Oh, here we go. Women. Why does it default to women?
Does
it just know? Oh, I was gonna say, does it?
No, it does it for me as well.
Why is it? Ugh. This website, so great. There he is. Jeez. There he is. 344th. Just putting him up on the screen there. This tiny little screen. I'm sure everyone can see that's watching.
And having not,
so yeah, that's awesome.
Did not repeat any workouts. Just
what is he? That's worldwide. What is he in the region?
I think it was like 34th, give or take.
66th. North America West.
66. Look at that.
You did it, man.
420th on workout 3. Blaze it.
Yeah, that was his best finish by a long way.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. I wouldn't really have expected that.
My boy's been working on snatching a lot.
Yeah, no kidding. And that is kind of one of those things in the open, like it's a little different for everybody. It's not like one thing is a separator, but you'll see that in workouts where it's like one thing. It's like we had kind of there was a lot of the thruster, but there was a lot of body weight stuff going on, like metabolic workouts. The muscle ups stopped people a little bit, but for anybody who's generally pretty well rounded, there was a lot of like cardio and
Joel Laney beat Brent Fikowski.
kind of like body weight in the open.
In North America West.
Hell yeah.
Fikowski's 71st.
And I think this year that heavy snatch combined with those wall walks was kind of a big separator for a lot of people.
Yeah, and I think that's a good segue to like how do you use this information if you're not moving on to quarterfinals. And I've got Joel pulled up, so I'll use him as an example. So he was in North America West. I'm not going to change it because it's too much effort. In North America West, workout 1, he was 2,219th place. Workout 2A, he was 1,337th. 2B, 1,299th. And then workout 3, he was 420. So Joel's worst workout was workout 1. We know why, because we analyzed Joel a lot. Like, obviously, we're with him more.
Yeah.
We watch him work out every day. If we're not working out with him, we're in the building. So we know that stringing together large sets of muscle ups under fatigue is a weakness of his, if you can call it that. He's still going to blow everyone else in the gym out of the water. Relative weakness, right? So we know in the off season, or at least ramping up, like that's something we need to start working on with him. Like, not, and again, I want to use this as an example so other people can look at their placements and figure out what do I need to work on for the year.
Speaking of Joel, there he is chiming in. Love it.
I miss it.
He says, "Take your shirts off." Don't worry, I put it on the screen for everyone to see.
So, for him, like maybe that looks like he needs to start building capacity. He needs to start doing higher sets. He needs to start challenging himself to do bigger sets unbroken, which he has been doing. Could also maybe look like, intervals of 5 muscle ups, rest 20 seconds, 5 muscle ups, rest, like something like that.
Yeah.
And again, like that's going to look different for everyone. His second thing to work on is, his second lowest finish was the burpee pull-ups and shuttle runs. I know, having watched him do the workout, there was a couple of moments of emotional weakness or mental weakness, if you will, where he just stopped. I think he knows this, and he's beat himself up over it, I'm sure. Probably didn't even sleep that night, poor guy. But there was moments, I can remember at least 5 distinct moments where I would look over and he was just standing there not burping.
And you have that in the back of your head all the time.
Sure.
That you've got that thruster coming.
Yeah.
I think for a lot of people, and that's tough.
Sure.
There just becomes there comes times when you really want to push. I mean, when I tested that workout the first time, that's exactly what I thought. I was like, this is a lot longer than I think it's going to be, or it's kind of like longer than it seems. It's going to get bad really fast. I want to do whatever I can to kind of save my shoulders because they're going to, and my biceps because they're going to fatigue quickly.
Yeah.
And you need to push really hard, but you also need to save a little something in the tank for the thruster. But amazingly, and I don't know if it's just down to kind of how we train or because we train CrossFit and we're doing CrossFit, that like the second time I did it, I just pushed really hard in the first part, didn't think about the thruster, and then walked over to the bar and it's like, just hit the first bar, hit the first weight, because you feel super fatigued. But like, I don't think my heart rate or my general fatigue actually inhibited me from thrustering.
Yeah.
There
was less interference than I expected, for sure. I think and this is my biggest gripe on programming a 1 rep max test in the open is how they score it. Because you can look at Joel's thruster.
Yeah, like it's valued on its own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, by looking at that, and I don't think there's anything wrong, and I think all competitive CrossFitters need to be building like true strength on, just because it just takes a long time to acquire.
Sure.
But like 277 is not a small thruster.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's,
Well, I think,
but there's a lot of people, and I haven't actually looked at the leaderboard, but you could theoretically have done one burpee pull-up, sat on the bench, put up a 375-pound thruster, and now that whole leaderboard is rocked.
yeah.
So that's a hard one to gauge, because if you look at the other strength tests in 23.3, he smoked, like he blew that one out of the water.
Yeah.
And that ends with 6.
Yeah, so
snatches
you're
at
kind of saying
225.
like if 23.1 or
23.2
23.2A and 23.2B had been, if the
Combined
scores had
score.
been relative to each other somehow, that he would have fared better
Oh,
in that, because you're now looking at it under the scope. But I think I don't really see an issue with that, because at the end of the day, you're comparing everyone across the board. It's not like it's at this stage of the game, it's not going to be typical that somebody could come in, like say some guy had just rolled in and done like a 350-pound thruster. He's not going to necessarily make the cut
No.
on that merit alone. With,
No. He definitely won't.
3 other poor finishes.
But it does dramatically impact the leaderboard for that. If you're looking
Totally.
at it from
Totally. But I think at this point they're kind of just saying that's part of the game.
sure,
Like
I just
you
don't
just-
agree that it should be part of the game.
Yeah. I think that
Not in the Open. Quarterfinals, yes.
yeah,
I think
that's fair.
I think probably the best way to have
I think in this specific example, the final workout with the heavy snatches, like you said, where Joel did really well, where he's under fatigue, and then still did well. I think that balances it out. Had that workout been different, that final workout hadn't included a heavy barbell, I'd probably agree with you more. Again, I'm not really disagreeing with you. I just think I don't really have a problem with it. But I think keep in mind that, or put this in the context of like, I've been kind of aware of or proximal or paying attention to the Open and the competitive season basically since 2010 or 11.
Sure.
Like Kelly and I participated in the first ever Open, and it's so much more fair and balanced than it has been in the past.
Sure.
Many times, and B, we've just seen so much happen, and it's like there's always something you're not super happy with, and Dave Castro's opinion kind of always seemed to be like, hey, this is the test.
Yeah.
Deal. You're not necessarily going to be happy about it.
I think as an athlete in
Just
the
is
middle
what
of the
it is.
Open who like shut up and do it.
Yeah.
But I also think if you would have just added point B, if you would have just added B's score to A and have a cumulative score, it's a little bit better balanced.
Yeah, and it's tough to implement that I think on a large scale, but I'm a big fan, like when we host in-house competitions, or I used to program workouts for the gym, there are times when I would say like, we're gonna do max kettlebell swings in 1 minute and max double unders in 1 minute. Well, okay, you can do 100+ double unders in a minute, but I can only do like 40 or 50 kettlebell swings in 1 minute. That's not you're sometimes you're advantageous to just forget about the kettlebell swings and just try to rack up, just eke out a few more reps on the double under and forget about that altogether. Like Fight Gone Bad is a great example where I know there are guys out there who put up extraordinarily good Fight Gone Bad scores. It's 1 minute at several different stations, and they skip 2 of the stations, 1 or 2 of the stations. Like wall ball is one, because you can only get like 30 wall ball reps in a minute, no matter how good you are, no matter how fit you are, no matter how strong you are. But if you look at box jumps, push press, sumo high pull, you can really expedite those reps, transition really well, cycle the barbell really quickly on and off the box. So, I just think there's always going to be something like that. There always has been. There's always there's always a way to like favor one thing over another thing, and you're not always going to be satisfied with how that shakes out. But I have been a fan of, like, to your point of like combining those, like in Fight Gone Bad. What if the wall balls were worth 2 reps every time instead of 1? It's like, hey, if you do 30 wall ball shots, you get 60 reps for that round, where you can, because people are doing on a 75-pound push press, guys are doing 50 reps easily, unbroken. So there could have been something like that.
I also just think that there's been a lot of bias towards and favor towards weightlifting.
In this Open?
Not in this Open. No, I think this Open has been very balanced outside of the 1 rep max, which I still love. Like, don't get me wrong, that was my best finish.
But you also have to look at the tests at an individual level, like within itself as a workout, and on the whole. Because I think a lot of times you might look at like, well, the whole Open, and you're kind of like, well, there was more heavy-ish barbells in the Open in general, but each test on its own merit was relatively balanced.
No, I agree that this was the most balanced Open I think we've ever had.
Okay,
well, at least for a long time.
That's important to throw out there, and I'm not. I guess what I'm saying in summation is I'm not a huge fan of critiquing the programming and complaining about it, because the bottom line is there's somebody out there writing this. You're in a sport where somebody's programming the tests. So unless we decide to go to a standardized test and become the grid league, the Florida grid league, because don't they the grid league kind of does like that was the whole thing. They wanted to kind of standardize it and do the same events every time.
Yeah, I don't know that much about them, honestly.
Don't. Just don't. And yeah, as Pat Clark's chiming in, we're dealing with a new programmer, and I don't know who he's consulting with. I know when Castro was programming, he was testing and not necessarily like consulting with people, but he was having prior or former games athletes come out and test these workouts, multiple age brackets and everything, and kind of changing and all the way up to the games, like the week of the CrossFit Games, he's kind of restructuring those workouts. And yeah, sometimes I think there have been things I haven't agreed with or haven't been happy with. There are tests that I didn't think were that fair or didn't execute that well, but that's kind of the nature of the sport too. Like I'm a Formula One fan, and sometimes a race happens and it rains or it's super hot or whatever, or the tires don't work the way you're expecting them to. And your ability to win becomes, how do you respond to these adverse elements? And I think that's a thing that Dave appreciated about CrossFit and, embraced. And I think that's what some people kind of are forgetting. Like the people that love to shoot YouTube videos and complain about the standards or this or that. And it's like, yeah, it's not perfect. It never has been, and I'm not sure it ever will be, but
I do think having a healthy critique is
sure
working more towards perfect.
Yeah, but name a sport where nobody complains about the rules or the
I don't really
or the judging.
Sports.
So you can't. I can't either, but like,
yeah, I don't pay attention to sports.
Yeah, I think it was a pretty good Open. I think the general consensus from people that were negative on it is CrossFit makes a big deal about the Open is for everybody, and we want as many people. I don't
think that changed at all this year.
What?
The Open being for everyone. I think where people are bitching about it is people forgot that the Open is a test. It's not a series of workouts.
That's what I'm saying. Like, people are saying like, oh, but what about the people that have a garage gym and only have this and only have that? And I'm like, well, great, but where's the line for that? You start indulging everyone who has a limited garage gym setup, and pretty soon you just have a 4x6 mat and a 50-pound dumbbell, and you're doing your whole Open with that, and that's dumb.
Yeah, I think every single person in the world could attempt these workouts RX. whether they get them or not, ultimately doesn't matter. Like, it's a sport.
Yeah.
Literally everyone can do a 60-calorie row. And
so I don't really know. Yeah, I don't really know what people are like expecting, but again, name another sport where it's like you don't need to buy anything, or you know, you don't need to have a special setup. It's like if you wanted to go compete in hockey or football or whatever, and they had a little online competition, they'd be like, hey, you need a football field to do this. It's like, you know, people are going to be upset that we have to go and buy a football field now.
well, also, like, yeah, and we don't need to go to that. But, like, literally everyone can start workout 1, 60-calorie row. Everyone can do that.
We don't need to go into that.
Some people got their first toes to bar. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You could also do relatively slow singles on the toes to bar and still get some wall balls in. I know at least one really beautiful woman in our gym that did that.
Who's that?
I can't think of her name. I'll think of it later. But also, like, if you get stopped at toes to bar, like, guess what you got to work on for the year?
Yeah.
Right? You got to work
Yeah.
on core compression. You got to work on your kipping mechanics. You've got a lot to figure out. And guess what? You've got a team of awesome coaches at Gambit that will help you with that.
Yeah.
You know, you have that benefit, whereas a lot of people don't.
But there's a little sentiment that with some people that, like, if you beat people down too much, if you give them too many failure points in the open, they're going to become discouraged and not necessarily sign up next year. Like if every workout has the muscle ups at the end, for example, where you can always say like, yeah, you can. There have been those workouts in the past where it's like a AMRAP 20 or AMRAP 14. And you could feasibly get like 1.5 rounds, but at the end of that first round, there's muscle ups. So you have to be able to do those muscle ups and get through them to get to the next round. And there are people that can very confidently and comfortably get up to that muscle up point, and they're stuck there and they can't finish the workout, and they're trying to get their first muscle up. And that's great. I think everybody kind of universally thinks that's really cool because it gives everybody the opportunity to do it. But if they reach that failure point, they can either get their first muscle up or kind of work on them or get a couple coaching cues or just get enough energy behind them to get up there. Then it's a big celebration. You got that rep. But if you do that, if we're going to have 3 tests every year and all 3 of those tests have a barrier like that, I think it could start to discourage people. And I think that's what some people are kind of, they're like, we need, most of the events to be very achievable. And we did have 2 distinct kind of like failure points. Like if you couldn't do the muscle ups in the first workout, you got kind of blocked off there. And then in the third workout, if you are bad at handstand, if you don't have strict handstand push-ups, because we saw athletes cruise through the first 6 minutes in our gym and then just absolutely struggle to get a small handful of reps of a strict handstand push-up, the 2 of us included. So I think that's what maybe, I could see that being a concern for like general population.
I have 2 counter arguments.
Too many choke points.
Counter argument number 1. If you're upset about not having a ring muscle up or a handstand push up, then the test did what it was supposed to do and expose a weakness. Number 2 talks directly to this year's programming, and that getting to the ring muscle ups was not an easy task.
Yeah.
It sucked.
Yeah, I agree.
And if you have the fitness to get to the ring muscle ups, you should have a ring muscle up.
Yeah, and so I guess what I'm saying is like I know we have people in the gym who are like, I don't really want to put the dedication in to get that muscle up, or I weigh X amount, or I have a bad shoulder mobility or whatever, and I'm just never gonna be good at wall walks and handstand push-ups or handstand walks, right? Those people are in the gym, and then the day-to-day of CrossFit, you're like, that's fine. You don't have to have that. You don't have to have a single-arm dumbbell squat snatch to do CrossFit or to be, fit. So when we get into the open, people, that kind of crosses over sometimes, and people are like, well, I'm really fit at this level of competition. I should just be able to do all the stuff, and it should just be about fitness, not about specific skills. But the reality is, you don't understand CrossFit because there are 10 components of fitness that we build this whole program off of, and high skill gymnastics are included in that, unfortunately.
Well, I think
heavy barbells.
Like that conversation needs to be had that like you need like a ring muscle up's important to have. I'm not saying everyone has to be amazing at them and be able to do 30 reps in under 5 minutes, but like there's a lot of carryover from muscle ups to life. Like, how are you going to get out of a pool? How are you going to get over a fence or a wall or over an object, from under it to over it? And then also you look at the breadth of fitness that you're going to accomplish just by achieving a ring muscle up, and how that's going to carry over to your pull-ups, how that's going to carry over to your shoulder, structural strength and integrity, and pulling and pressing capacity and all of that stuff. And I think there's a lot to be said about kind of that whole concept of you failing at the margin of your experiences, right? Like, you are only as fit as your weakest element.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we have the 10 general physical traits posted up on our mural, and there's a lot of those that you can start ticking off by working on your ring muscle up, by working on your wall walk, your handstand push up.
Yeah.
And I would also say, like, I got to the handstand push-ups with literally 1 second left. Now, I don't have a large breadth of fitness, but I busted my ass to get those handstand push-ups, and I was very proud to have 3 minutes to work at 6 handstand push-ups.
Yeah.
Knowing that, like, I'm not good at this movement, but again, this is testing where I'm at, and now I know that actually wasn't even my worst finish.
Yeah.
Worst finish was burpee pull-ups.
And the thing I was going to point out is, like, Pat's pointing out, as I put on the screen, kipping handstand push-ups should have been included, and it's like,
I disagree wholeheartedly.
Well, and I think that's an interesting point, because I would agree, kind of, it would have given me a better score. I would have been able to hack away at those a little better than strict handstand push-ups, so I kind of agree. But I think at the end of the day, no matter what type of fitness you're talking about, if it's bodybuilding or just general strength work, powerlifting, CrossFit, whatever, there's never going to be one program that everyone agrees on.
Yeah.
Like, in powerlifting, like, even in powerlifting, there's disagreement over, like, whether or not a conventional deadlift or sumo deadlift should be required or allowed.
Should be conventional deadlift.
I mean, I agree, but that's not, we're not the people to make that decision. And you need, Olympic lifting. They used to have the push press or the shoulder press.
Shoulder press.
Yeah, was an event, and they ended up having to remove it because people were just folding themselves in half to try and
standing bench press
the barbell out. And it's like, at the end of, to some extent, you just have to kind of agree on what the thing is. I mean, the luge or whatever, the ice, the bobsled in the Olympics, the Winter Olympics, like, they build different courses all the time in different countries. So, like, the bobsled run that you do at one Olympics is not necessarily the same one you do at the next Olympics. It's just, people agreed that this is the test this year, and you go in, and it's not the same. Like, you don't get to compare your Olympics to the Olympics 4 years ago. It's not the same thing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you could argue that CrossFit's been very successful at creating this test and executing it, because we've seen the same people rise to the top all the time. And Dave would harshly say, like, the Open doesn't really, the people that need to get through are still getting through. And I understand the midfield is kind of upset about what they didn't get or what they did get or the hand they were dealt. But at the end of the day, you need to get better. Stop complaining.
See, I think that argument's stupid. I think Dave was a little too harsh with that sentiment. He's right.
Yeah.
But if your goal is to get more of the community involved in the Open, like, it should be how it is this year, where there are really good, well-rounded tests. You're testing a lot of the 10 general physical skills. And at the end of the day, the fittest are still getting through.
Well, I agree with you. I think he was a little too harsh, but I don't necessarily think he was harsh in his programming always. He was harsh in his attitude about it.
It's just like, if
I
you're
also
going to
think he wrote some pretty darn good tests, and there were some pretty good opens.
I just think, like, if you're trying to get the community to sign up for the Open, you're like, do it or don't. Who cares? Like, the fittest are going to get through. Your opinion doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of a shitty way to look at it.
But yeah, and just to throw some comments back in the mix, Suzanne's pointing out that she says, I think the strict handstand push-up was an easier standard to judge, and I totally agree. I thought the standards for the both the wall walk and the handstand push-up from a logistics and judging standpoint were great.
I have always been a big proponent of strict before kipping, and I think this helps solidify that a little bit, because a lot of we've only seen strict handstand push-ups in the Open once back in 2019.
Yeah.
And every other time it's been kipping. And guess what? I can rip through 20 kipping handstand push-ups unbroken.
Yeah. Same.
And I suck at them.
But I need to see the chiropractor pretty soon after.
Exactly.
And
I don't want to just bounce my head on the ground for 20 times.
Yeah, and people will argue oh, you shouldn't be doing kipping handstand push-ups, but I'm going to come back at you with, like everything else, control is key.
Yeah.
Having the strength. So if you're telling me, oh, I can only do 1 strict handstand push-up, 1 to 3 strict handstand push-ups, but I can do 20 kipping, you got a pretty big imbalance there.
For sure.
And I would tell people the same thing about pull-ups. We
Yeah.
have members that can do 10 plus kipping pull-ups and 1.5 strict.
Yeah.
Well, you need to, you're going to develop shoulder problems.
Yeah.
And in the case of the handstand push-ups, you're going to develop neck problems. But
Dr. Matt
that
at
point,
Thrive for Life Chiropractic will
shout
take
out-
care of you.
Shout out Dr. Matt, Thrive for Life, and his dog Zion.
I have 7 minutes before I have a meeting, just so we know.
Yeah, I'm about to wrap it up.
Cool.
So I totally agree with that point. I think it would be cool for them to use the strict handstand push-up only in the Open, because it kind of bars some of those people from hurting themselves.
And I like I really like the burpee pull-up standard too, because you want to talk about making a movement approachable to everyone. You don't have to have a full strict pull-up to do a burpee pull-up.
It sucks logistically, for gym owners that didn't have I've been to
Perfect
gyms where they have
pull-up bars,
they have standardized, just all their pull-up bars are at one height, and you just get But again, the people that are really dedicated to competing, if we had 4 people that were dedicated to trying to make it to the CrossFit Games this season, I would get out my tools and move a pull-up bar for those people.
Doesn't take that much.
When I say dedicated, I also mean capable, by the way, for those
Well, I
listening.
mean, yeah, and there are gyms like CrossFit New England who has their pull-up bars mounted to the wall at a fixed height, right, hanging from the ceiling. And they cannot move those, but you can also get a pad. And it doesn't really change the timing all that much.
And it's kind of to nail it down, it's to the people that it really matters to.
Pat, yes, there should be strict muscle ups before kipping.
Like in the Open, or just in general?
No, just general training.
Oh yeah. In general, you should strive to achieve a strict muscle up before a kipping muscle up.
Yes.
Is the question, if you're not seeing the comments.
Except for bar. I think that changes with bar a little bit.
Yeah, because I can't do a strict bar muscle up.
It's a higher skill movement. Your pull has to be so much deeper.
Even people I see that do quote unquote strict bar muscle ups are kind of still kipping. They're just generating enough force with their pull that they don't have to.
But you should have a strict rib cage to bar pull up, give or take.
Yeah.
Before a bar muscle up.
Yeah. You should. I mean,
That's
you
a
should
different
do a lot
discussion.
of things. You should also eat 500 to 600 grams of veggies every day.
I know. Speaking of, we have a nutrition challenge starting April 3rd.
Shout out nutrition challenge. We're gonna wrap it up here. But that's kind of our thoughts on the Open. What I'm excited for the next stage. I totally glossed over. We were going to talk about our list of people progressing on to the quarterfinals, but there's a healthy dose of us. Myself included, theoretically, if our math is correct. They haven't sent out official confirmation, but we've got probably 15 to 20 plus people from the gym progressing on to quarters.
Do we have that much?
I think so, based on that email Joel sent out.
Hell yeah.
Quite a few. We had at least half a dozen men and half a dozen women, I think, and then a couple in occupational / masters.
Nice work, everyone.
So feeling pretty good about the season.
Yeah, and if you're around,
Excited
come
about
in,
quarters.
celebrate Joel's birthday today with Hot Justice. The Justice is hot. It is steaming. It is ready
great.
for you.
We got to start making lists of things to talk about because we totally glossed over Joel's birthday. Happy birthday, Joel! Shout out. He even commented.
What a guy
On our podcast. Incredible.
What a guy.
So yeah, we'll let us know what you want to see from us, because we kind of experiment with some
Or
live
hear.
streaming. Yeah.
Depending on who you are, you might want to see things that we can't deliver.
Yeah. But I mean, moving into the quarterfinals, we'd experimented around some live streaming and stuff of the Open, so we could continue to do that if anyone's interested on moving into the quarterfinals, but we'll definitely, the Gambit media engine will cover the quarterfinals to some extent. And also let us know what you want us to cover on the podcast in general. Our hope is to start bringing some guests on. I've got another microphone and headphones set up, and we're going to start piping people in. And nominate a member to be on the podcast if you want to hear their story, and let us know what you want us to talk about.
Much like the classic film Snowpiercer, the Gambit Media doesn't stop.
Gambit Media engine moves on forever. That has been the Gambit podcast. I've been Andrew Osick.
I have been and will be Sean Crocker.
Thanks for tuning in, folks. We'll catch you next time.